I know I'm a little bit late on this review, and this is a review, kind of, but also kind of a more critique on something that I've been talking about for a while. But I did actually have a lot of thoughts on this movie when I saw it, and I felt I needed to talk about it on this channel. So this is a review, maybe late, but I still need to get these thoughts out because I feel that it is very beneficial, and then it's just everybody needs to know this. To talk about Blade Runner 2049, let me go back to my thoughts on the first Blade Runner. The first Blade Runner, which came out in 1982, that's the year it came out. I'm sorry, I kind of second guessing myself. Takes place, of course, in the futuristic world of Los Angeles in 2019. I know, I can't wait for that year. Just to get this out of the way, I think that the movie is gorgeous. It is a beautiful looking movie with great sound design, great music, and it's got a lot of interesting ideas that are brought up, and yeah, I do find that the movie is gorgeous, and I do know why people like it based on its style. And it did create this whole kind of futuristic world that other movies and other works of art could actually attempt to do as well and possibly do better. Probably one of my favorite versions would be the new Ghost in the Shell movie that came out this year. Their world looks amazing. It just looks beautiful, lived in, very used, very dirty, very ugly at times, but also beautiful in some areas. Same thing as Blade Runner from 1982. And you know, I have a lot of respect for the original movie. However, I think that almost everything else in this movie, Blade Runner, the original, sucks. I think the story is boring. It's mediocre. It's a mediocre story that really should be carried by its characters. But the characters in this movie suck. I hate them. I don't like the conflict. Everything is boring. It's just really, the best way I could describe it is lame and boring. I first watched this movie in Paris with my brother and my sister when we were there, staying there for 6 months. This was about 7 or 6 years ago. And we all fell asleep. And I didn't rewatch the movie until a month ago, and I thought it was so boring. My God, was it boring. And it's not because I can't enjoy old movies. Clearly that's not the case. I love watching old movies, and this is just not a good movie. In terms of story, the story, again, like I said, it's mediocre. It's pretty much, they're calling back Deckard, who was an old Blade Runner, which I do like the idea of the Blade Runners, that they're there to sort of retire the replicants. Like, that's cool. So it's like they call the Blade Runner Deckard, who was the best of the best of the best, because they need his help because 4 of the replicants escaped and killed a bunch of people. So now it's his job to go look for those replicants. Again, it's a very kind of generic story, but then again, this came out a long time ago and pretty much started this whole trend, so I can't blame it for that. But the problem really comes in is that the character Deckard is so boring and has no personality. Like, this man is honestly pathetic. He gets his ass kicked in every other scene. He barely does any detective work. The best thing he does in the movie is that he's able to ask Rachel, who is a replicant, a bunch of questions. That's the best thing he does in the movie. And then besides that, he looks at a fucking picture for, I think, like 10 minutes of the running time of the movie. 10 minutes is spent at him looking at a picture, and then he finds out, oh, there's a snake tattoo on this one girl. I think I need to go find her because yeah, that is my job. I think she's a replicant. Besides those two things, he doesn't do that much detective work. Honestly, he gets pretty damn lucky at times. And then once he runs into the replicants, it's, oh my God, it's pathetic. He gets beat up by all 4 of the replicants, and he gets lucky in killing 2 of them. One of them, it's just like she runs into a bunch of glass, making it very obvious in a straight line. So it's, of course, if Deckard would miss, he'd be incompetent. So he actually does kill her. And then another one dies, again, from incompetence. But Deckard is also incompetent. He gets beat up again. And he almost dies twice in this movie. And he doesn't escape because, oh, he's got quick wits. He's the best of the best of the best. No, he survives because one time his girlfriend saves him. His fucking girlfriend. She's not trained for this shit. Like, she saves him from almost near death. And then another time, his life gets spared by Roy, who's the main replicant. And I know I may be spoiling the movie, but I'm not necessarily telling you guys, hey, go watch this movie. I'm not recommending it for the story. I'm recommending it for its visuals, and that's pretty much it. Deckard is just a lame-ass character. He doesn't do shit in the movie. And I can't understand how people were like, oh, yeah, this is one of the best characters in cinema. Yeah, Deckard. And Deckard's just like, yeah, I'm one of the coolest guys here. My fingers are broken. I'm running for my dear life. I'm scared to shit right now. Like, this is just killing me right now. Holy crap, I'm near death. I'm just, holy shit, I need to keep running. It's like, oh, my God, just give me a fucking story at this point. And there's even a love story again between him and a replicant, Rachel, and then they even run away together at the end of the movie. It's like, what the fuck happened? Halfway through the movie, it's like, oh, I'm in love. Let me have some sex with you. And then it's like, whoa, where did this come from? I thought you hated replicants. I thought your whole job's to kill them, and now you're falling in love with one out of nowhere. It's not like she did anything for you. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's have sex right here. And then by the end of the movie, it's just like, you know what? I've been killing these replicants for fucking years. It was my job. But now that I got some good puss from this one, I think I'm having a change of heart. I'm gonna run away with her and have love and sex for the rest of my life. It's like, what the fuck just happened? It's like, I don't understand. And you know, people have tried to tell me what I'm supposed to think. But you know what? It's not what I'm supposed to think, and I don't care about this whole like, oh, Deckard might be a replicant. It's like, no, he's not a fucking replicant. Like, you can't even be like, oh, maybe he is, because no, he gets his ass kicked. The whole point about being a replicant is that you're much stronger. He gets his ass kicked multiple times. He doesn't seem much stronger than me. But hey, my thoughts on Blade Runner is pretty much, it looks gorgeous, but the story's lame. If I had to rate it out of 10, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. The movie's boring, it drags, the characters are uninteresting. The most interesting one is Roy, and he even has a cool moment at the end of the movie when he dies. But other than that, I'm not a fan of Blade Runner, other than its visuals and its style and the stuff it created. The stuff that came after Blade Runner I enjoy. Now, moving 30 years later, pretty much, into Blade Runner 2049. Let me say right now, this movie is almost perfect in my opinion, and in many people's opinion. Everything you've heard that's good about the movie is true. It is one of the best sequels that have come out like to date. It is amazing. It takes everything that was interesting or good from the original Blade Runner and expands on it, makes it even better. It pretty much fixes all the problems and gives you a much more compelling story. The story is much more interesting. It's fascinating. When I go into a movie, I always have a checklist of 3 things that I'm expecting. Those 3 things are story, characters, and emotion. And then after that, of course, you know, there's the little, like the icing on the cake, like the action or the visuals, music, stuff like that. But mainly, I'm looking for, like what I just said, the 3 things. And for me, Blade Runner 2049 nailed it. For the first thing, excuse me. For the first thing, the story I thought was great. I thought the story was really fascinating. I thought the conflict was really fascinating, and I really, really loved the twist at the end. The twist at the end made the movie for me. The characters are compelling. I love Officer K, who's played by Ryan Gosling, a replicant. I think the story, his backstory is interesting. His character is interesting. Everything about him is just compelling. I really was interested in his character and all the stuff he was doing throughout the movie. He did actual detective work throughout the entire movie, and he was a badass at times. He was able to hold himself in a fight. He wasn't perfect, again, but he was able to hold himself in a fight, and he was a really good detective. I really liked that about him. And even his hologram girlfriend, I thought she was really neat. She had a lot of awesome scenes, like a really nice... One of my favorite scenes and is like a build up to a sex scene. It's just like, it's a really weird thing to say it's one of my favorites, but like if you guys watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. They do something really special with her character, and since she can't touch him because he's a hologram, she does something to replace it, and I think it's one of the cooler things in the movie. I really liked it a lot. It was a cool build up. And then of course there are other things that she does I did like. I did like her as a character a lot. The villains in the movie, like, again, they weren't like true like hardcore like, oh, evil villains. They were bad people, but it's like you kind of understood why they were doing it. Again, I'm not going to spoil it because I feel like some people want to watch it. And again, like I said, the visual, emotionally, this movie does get emotional at times, not to where you're crying or anything, but it does, you do have emotion in the movie. You do care for the characters and all that. And on top of that, oh my God, the visuals are breathtaking. The movie looks amazing. Like, I can't, like, yeah, it does look better than the original because, of course, it is modern day and, like, it is the present times of 2017. Of course, it's going to look better, but it looks breathtaking. The sound design's amazing. Like the buildings, like LA, it looks lived in completely. It looks kind of a little bit post-apocalyptic, too. It looks very dirty, very just old. And even Ryan Gosling's car, or Officer K's car, like his flying hover car, it's like, even that, it's like it's filled with papers and it's very, very dusty. It's kind of run down. It's like, it again lived in. It's very realistic, and I really like the future that they've built. The whole Las Vegas, everything in Las Vegas looked, again, it looked awesome. And that was like post-apocalyptic because, of course, it's not, you know, you guys have seen the trailers, and I'll let you watch the movie. I'll let you sort of assume what it is, but it just looks great. Music, phenomenal. Everything, almost everything in this movie I thought was terrific. However, the thing I discussed on Twitter, Facebook, I think even on Instagram as well, to tell as many people as I could, this movie is 2 hours and 44 minutes too fucking long. It's long as all hell. It is one of the longest movies I've seen all year. And not because it is the longest movie I've seen all year, but because it feels like 5 hours. And I've heard critics, a few people say that, oh, it doesn't feel like 2 hours and 44 minutes. It felt like an hour for me. It's like, fuck you. No, it does not. And it's not even that. And like, I've heard also some other people say like, oh, modern audiences, they can't stand to sit in their chair for longer. Oh, they get bored too easily. It's like, what the fuck? There are many movies that are almost 3 hours that people legitimately enjoy. And, you know, they have no problem watching it. Like, there is no problem with watching a movie for almost 3 hours. Like, that's not the problem. Lord of the Rings, I've watched many times, and I love those movies. I've watched the extended cuts, but they never feel like their actual running time. They feel shorter because they're so good. They're so fun. And the problem with Blade Runner 2049 is that there's no action. It's mostly quiet, which is fine. Which is fine for me. I don't need action. But the thing is, the movie isn't fun. There's no jokes, there's no humor, there's no fun things. It just looks great. It looks beautiful. It's very calm, very quiet. And it's very dragged on, very long establishing shots. The fucking movie just takes forever. And it's not fun. It's not a fun movie. It's just a very good movie to watch. And that's my main problem with it. It's so long. There are scenes that should be 3 to 5 minutes long that take 10 minutes, and you're like, what the fuck? Hurry up. And a thing is that most of the movie is establishing every single scene multiple times. And it's like, I get it. We're in Las Vegas. I know we're in Las Vegas. Continue. Oh, we're in this place. Continue. Give me the story. But instead it just keeps on dragging and dragging and dragging. To pretty much sum it up, the pacing is terrible. It's so slow. Like, everything in the movie is so slow. It feels like 100 years has gone by the time you finish it. And the thing is, like I said before, I was in a packed theater too. It was a packed theater. I've been to movies that are almost 3 hours. And I'll say this, even Batman vs. Superman, a long as shit movie. Long as fucking shit. people by the end of it we're enjoying it. And I'm not a fan of Batman vs Superman. Like, I think the movie's average at best. But the thing is that people were enjoying the movie, people were having fun, and by the end of it people were clapping and everything, and people were like, yeah, I liked it, or there's bullshit like that. By the end of this movie, or halfway through this movie, I saw many people sleeping. The guy next to me was sleeping. My sister right next to me was sleeping. My brother almost fell asleep. And me, I had to struggle to stay awake. There was a bunch of people sleeping. And then on top of that, not even a little bit more than halfway through the movie, I saw 5 people leave. No, wait, 5 couples leave because the movie was taking so long. And that's the problem. The movie is just way too long, and that's a bad thing. The best way I could compare it, or the best example I could compare it to, is King Kong from 2005. King Kong is a good movie, in my opinion. I do like it. There are a lot of things I like in it. The characters, the story, the emotion, the effects at times. There's a lot of things to like in King Kong, but the thing is, King Kong is 3 hours long. It's 3 hours long. You spend an hour on a boat, you spend an hour on the island, and then you spend an hour in New York. And the thing is that it doesn't need to be 3 hours long. They could have easily trimmed down the hour on the boat, because we don't need to spend an hour on a boat, and they could have trimmed down the hour in New York. We absolutely don't need to spend an hour for the climax of a movie. And the thing is, again, King Kong was well received, but it was way too fucking long. 3 hours is just way too long. Same thing with Blade Runner 2049. 2 hours and 44 minutes, it's too long for this movie. They should have cut an hour of it. And the story and the context of the movie, the characters, the emotion would still be good. Everything would still be great. In fact, the movie would be better, in my opinion, if they took out an hour. But the fact that it was an hour was blowing my mind. I was just like, get on with it. Just end already. And it really sucks, because I do like Blade Runner 2049. I do think it is a good movie. I do think the characters are great. I do think the visuals are great. I do like the music. I like everything about it. In fact, there's very few flaws with it, except for one. I'll get to it in a minute. But the running time is just too long. The pacing sucks. And, that's what really kills the movie for me. And to kind of get off of the running time, I will mention this other part. Deckard. Deckard is in this movie. Now, my brother put it best. He never liked Deckard. He always thought he was a shit character. So what can he really expect from a shit character in another movie? If he was shit before, he's going to be shit now. That's how he went into it. So he wasn't disappointed. Me, I thought to myself, well, it's 2017. Maybe they're going to do something different with Deckard. Boy, was I wrong. They really just cemented Deckard as one of the lamest characters in cinema. Not only is he barely in the movie, which is fine. The movie isn't about Deckard. It is about Ryan Gosling's character, Officer K. So that's where the good stuff is. But Deckard is in the movie, but he's barely in it. He's barely in it. And as always, what do you expect? The guy gets beaten up multiple times. He gets kidnapped easily. They easily kidnap him. It's like one explosion in a building. It's like, oh, he's knocked out. Let's kidnap him. He gets kidnapped, and then he gets chained up and almost drowns. And this is the part of the movie where when he's almost drowning, I'm like, oh, like Deckard uses his quick wits to get out of his chains and swim to shore. No, he doesn't do that. He almost drowns and dies. And if it wasn't for fucking Officer K, Ryan Gosling's character, he would have died. So yet again, fucking Deckard has to be saved by another person. And the thing is, I know some people might say, oh, you're spoiling the movie. I'm not spoiling anything. Really, Deckard's a minor character in this movie. Everything that I'm keeping away is the good stuff. This part just doesn't matter. Deckard is just pointless. He is a useless fucking human being. He is incompetent beyond belief. And I can't understand how he's so beloved as a character. Oh, Officer Deckard, Blade Runner Deckard. He's the best of the best of the best. I think that the only reason he's popular is because he's played by Harrison Ford. Other than that, he's not a compelling character. He's not interesting. Nothing about him is good. He's just a fuck up beyond belief. Fuck this character. He's so stupid. He's lame. I hate him. On the other hand, Officer K, he's really good. I do like Ryan Gosling's character. And like I said, I do like Blade Runner 2049. But the main problem is the running time. Not even Deckard. Deckard's barely a part of the movie, so I can't really fault it for that. The running time in this movie is way too long. They should have shaved off an hour completely, and it would have been better. My final verdict for Blade Runner 2049 is a very, very high 7 out of 10. I was thinking of giving this movie an 8 out of 10 because I do believe it deserves an 8 out of 10. But the thing is, it's way too long. It drags and the pacing's terrible. So I can't in good faith give it an 8 out of 10. A 7 out of 10, I believe it's a good movie, but it has a big flaw. It has one flaw, but it's huge, and it kind of ruins the experience. Well, anyways, this was Grant from One for Review. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you've watched Blade Runner, let me know what you thought. Did you like it? Did you hate it? I don't care. Just let me know. Do you hate Deckard as much as me? Please, just tell me down in the comments. As always, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time on One for Review.